Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Lunch Table Podcast with Dylan and Akram. I am so excited to be reviewing Black Panther Wakanda Forever with my good friend Akram here. It was an amazing movie, an amazing experience in the film, and I'm sure a lot of people can agree. Akram, I have so many thoughts on this movie, man. It was just such an emotional roller coaster from start to finish. But before I, gather my thoughts, I want to hear your opinion on the film.
Oh, extremely beautiful. That's right then and there, extremely beautiful. I think it was done tastefully as well. I think that Ryan Coogler hit all marks for me in a sense of like taking care of Chadwick's story, like what happened to T'Challa, and I like how they did it. And it wasn't like a lingering type of effect. It was a lingering effect, but it wasn't like really going deep into how did he get this disease. And I liked the pace of this movie a lot. It felt very weird. It actually didn't feel too much like Marvel. It kind of felt like a different type of sci-fi movie. And I think it's a very powerful movie as well. What do you think?
Man, this is one of the few movies where I'm just going to give my rating right off the bat. This is an 11 out of 10 for me, honestly. Me too. Before I even get to my thought, I loved it. I mean, I had high expectations, and I'm sure a lot of people did. Of course, how everybody's asking, how do you create a sequel from such a successful movie, right, without its lead role? And I think Ryan Coogler really did an excellent job with this movie, and they did everything they could to make it, a sequel without, their lead role. And everybody in this movie just gave everything to this movie. And I think the whole cast was great. Letitia Wright, she nailed it. Angela Bassett, I hope she gets a fucking Oscar next year because her performance in this movie was just A1. Man, just everybody, Danai, Gurira, Lupita, Tenoch, Huerta. Oh my God, Namor was like, he stole the show from me. Yeah. Like every scene he was in, I love this performance, man. And it's hard because I loved Killmonger in Black Panther, but I think he kind of rivals. He's a good villain for what we see in this movie, right? But right off the bat, so yeah, like you said, we come into this movie and we see the first 10 minutes is just we don't even see Chadwick, but it's the scene where we see T'Challa's death, and we see it from Shuri's perspective. And also, I loved the Marvel intro title. It was just like an homage to Chadwick. It was all Chadwick. There was no music, but I think it was such a beautiful homage to it. Yeah, what did you think about that whole first scene?
Oh, it was so sad. It was like, and they were rushing. Oh, that's my phone. Sorry. They were rushing, making sure that they could save T'Challa. And I guess he had some type of disease. I would even imagine he probably had the same disease he has in real life, right? And yeah, because of Killmonger, all like the heart-shaped flowers were gone. So they were trying to replicate him through the lab, or at least Shuri was. And so she has this burden that she wasn't quick enough to do it. And I think that's like a lingering theme throughout the whole film. Is like she has these gifts, but she couldn't save certain members of her family, including Chadwick or T'Challa, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Very, very, very heart-wrenching, I must say. And then I think after that, that's when the Marvel Studios thing comes in, and it's like I think that was just the icing right on the cake for me, and it made me really sad. And then also they bounce back in time like a good amount of times. Like, so this takes place like 5 years after T'Challa's death, right? So it was like 1 year and then 5 years. So in total, kind of like 6 years. And I kind of liked how they did it. Again, the whole film felt very long, but in a good way. You just enjoy watching this movie, and you also enjoy the spotlight being given to these characters besides T'Challa. I wanted to get your thoughts because we were talking earlier about how you think that they did it tastefully and how you think that this might have been, in an odd way, kind of like a good thing for the movie.
Yeah, it's weird to say it, but I think this was the perfect way to go about a sequel. Like I said earlier, it's like how do you create a sequel that doesn't involve its primary protagonist, right? And I know a lot of people are going to say like this movie probably wasn't as good as the first one, and that's fine. That's their opinion. But honestly, I think, like I said, this is the best movie they could have made without with Chadwick and without T'Challa, and it really like I liked it in a way because it explores. It wasn't reliant on T'Challa's character. It was about everybody that was surrounded by him, and his death affected so many people in so many different ways because he was a father, he was a son, he was a brother, he was an idol to his people, and really it was kind of like in a way a reflection of how we all reacted to Chadwick Boseman's death, right? So yeah, it was great how they did. I think they did it really tastefully, and just seeing everybody's performance just felt so genuine, and it felt like it really like is like a commentary on like how we grieve and how we kind of like react to mourning like a loved one. And I think everybody's performance, it was just so well done. I think this is, and it's hard because for me, like certain scenes in this movie made me forget I was actually watching like a Marvel film. Like it was just so artfully done. Like I think this has like one of the best acting in any Marvel movie.
Yeah, and I think they gave enough time. That's what I always say, let it breathe. I think for a lot of scenes, you got to let it breathe. And I think everything would just come on the screen naturally. And I think that's what happened. And also, like, I like how the last Black Panther movie and this Black Panther movie were the villains, I don't know, you kind of sometimes, you understand kind of where they're coming from. And it's weird. It's like very political, yet it's very personal and familial. And that sometimes I would feel like, to me at least, I feel like the stakes are even higher when they do it like that. So like I was scared for a lot of people, and a lot of catastrophe happened in this movie as well because of Namor, which again, he is an awesome antagonist. But before we get to Namor exactly, I wanted to get your thoughts on our newly introduced superhero, Riri Williams, because Riri Williams will have her own show pretty soon. So
yeah, well, shout out to Dominique Thorne, because I was actually worried that her character would be outshined by this whole ensemble cast, because you have so many great characters and A1 actors. But I loved her character. Like honestly, like she was a nice balance to all the kind of grieving that was going on. So she adds kind of like this comedic like balance to the movie. It's like she, like every time like she's on screen with Shuri and Okoye, it's just really nice to watch like their interactions. And I love that we kind of see like homages to Tony Stark in the first Iron Man film. There was a scene where like she was actually like going up in space or like the atmosphere. It's kind of like a throwback to Iron Man 1 when Tony first discovered how to push himself. Even her suit, I enjoyed it for the most part. I think it still kind of looks like weird for me. It kind of looks a little Power Ranger-ish, but I thought it wasn't bad. What did you think of her, like her suit?
Yeah, I was talking to you before this recording, and I was saying I think what's cool about this, and I think that they were filming Black Panther and also Ironheart, side by side, and I think that this suit in the very beginning in the warehouse is her, when Tony Stark puts on the boots and he's trying to test flight, and then after that, in Ironheart, she gets the Phase 1 or Mark 1, and then also coming back to this movie later on, we'll see in more updated suit, which I think it's a pretty nice homage to the muscle car that she was driving, and she based the colors off of like that car because that has significance, right? That's her father's car, so red and black. And I bet a lot of people saw the images by now. And then of course we'll probably get a Mark 3, 4 or whatever in Ironheart. I thought that the scenes with her were amazing. I think she's very like a naturalist type of actor. I didn't expect to enjoy her so much as I did, and I think she has a lot of pressure because she's basically the successor to Iron Man. Although I must say some scenes I felt like that while they were paying homages, it did feel like a little bit thrown in. It was natural for what was happening, but it felt like too fast. And I would have liked to see more expansion on like how she's a fan of Tony Stark through little Easter eggs here and there. I would have liked that a little more, but I understand, they were trying to run basically from this guy with wings on his feet through the whole movie.
Right.
And also that being said, too,
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no doubt that. Oh, sorry. I have no doubt that we'll probably see a spin-off series with her down the line. Because we are, yeah. Kamala Khan has a series, so I guarantee that Disney Plus is probably going to give her own like spin-off show eventually, and I think it's well warranted, honestly.
Well, she does.
We have so many like young characters in the MCU now that are just like high level geniuses. Like we have Peter, and then we have someone like the kid from Iron Man 3 too. So it's just funny, like there's so many like young prodigies in the MCU too. And I thought it was cool too, like the whole car thing, because it's like Tony was also like a big like car fanatic too. So it kind of like her character is like a great like homage to Tony Stark as well. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of this movie. So yeah, Namor, great villain. And I love his design. I'm just gonna be straight up. I love the whole Aztec like style of the Atlanteans, and just like even the way they fight, and it parallels Wakanda so much, just from their technology, their fighting style, even like their mannerisms and their traditions, like how the Wakandans like do this, and the Atlanteans have their own kind of like gesture or salute. So what did you think of Namor's character?
Yeah, well, no, again, with the Wakandan slash, Aztec-y type of thing, it was very cool, well designed, and yeah, I kind of imagine Wakandans as a threat in the trees, and the Aztec-y people, sharks in the water, right? And they're a threat there. So I like how they both are very silent killers and very scary, and they were so scary too. Like that first scene, I was like, it felt actually like I was scared. It felt like a monster movie or something like that. They were just
that
creepy.
Was some Black Adam shit, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, right. They were so creepy, man. And I love the design. So if people don't know, or when they're in water, their skin is like normal color, and then when they're out of water, they're just like Navi. But still, I just love the way how they did it, because they also have vibranium weapons and armor pieces and stuff like that, and that's the whole thing. It's like Namor doesn't want his kingdom to be exposed to the outside world, so this is the threat that he's trying to deal with, right? Because now regular people or the government is trying to harvest vibranium undersea. And so he has to kind of communicate, and he's very aggressive, right? And I kind of get him. He kind of reminds me of Killmonger. He has to do whatever he has to do for his people, and I think that's how you kind of make him into an anti-villain, right? Or anti-hero, because you kind of need him. Maybe down the line you would need him for something, but he's only going to do it because he needs to protect his people. So I think I like how they kind of did that here. He's not just an anti-villain, or anti-hero just to be an anti-hero. I think he's amazing, and I think the performance was terrifying as well. Sometimes it reminds me of Javier Bardem from No Country for Old Men. Just the little ways how he smiles, and he knows he's menacing. He's getting under people's skin, but he just that guy. The way how he worked out and stuff, and just his body and stuff. He seems very menacing, and the way how they position the armor pieces too. He seems like kind of like just stature where you just can't knock him down, and he was really powerful here. Yeah, I loved him.
Yeah, I even loved like his backstory.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to get that, and how it was so similar to the Black Panther story as well, because they actually like revealed that he got his power. I don't know if that's like similar to the comics. I think there was kind of like a redesign of his origins, but because he is a mutant, and he does say in the movie that he is a mutant too, which I thought was interesting. But the way they go about it is he actually discovers the plant or the flower from the vibranium rich soil. So it's directly like a parallel to Black Panther. And then they also have vibranium as well. And they have this whole like civilization like underwater. And I think the way they showed it was so beautiful. Even the song they were playing, like when Shuri was underwater and she's Talokan for the first time. It just felt like such a real place that you could visit, right? It just felt so natural. Like the camera work was nice. It was really fluid. Just like the Atlanteans, they felt like so natural. Even like you said, like the way their skin reacts in water and out of water. It just felt really natural, and I love the whole design of this movie. And even they are very scary as well. Like you don't understand like their power until like the first scene with the ship. Like they don't even have to really go out of water to kill you. Because they have a technique where like they use like a siren song, and they actually like hypnotize you, and you actually like I felt like I was watching like The Happening or some shit. Because the crew were like falling off the ship and shit. And then when they actually do come out of water, they're actually like these really like well trained killers, and just seeing like them go to toe to toe with the Wakandans was really a treat, because we've seen the Wakandans in so many media and so many movies now. We think they're like the best of the best. Like there's nobody that can really like match their power and their skill. So I think the Atlanteans were like a real challenge and a great rival to the Wakandan society.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, he's a powerhouse. I mean, we always say like, most powerful beings can walk on water, but how do you defeat a guy who could like run in air? And I think that it's a big challenge for them. And I can't wait to see him come back eventually. I don't know how you would implement him. And I love the way how they presented the culture. And it does feel like actually kind of realistic. Like in Aquaman, it's because I guess a lot of people compare this movie to Aquaman, like the underwater scenes. And it's like, well, for one, everyone, they were clearly holding their breaths. I was like laughing because they were like, you could see it. But it's like, for me, I felt so uncomfortable, but like that's their home, right? So they're like molded in this coldness of the sea. And I gain a greater appreciation for this other side of the culture that we never were shown before in the MCU. And I think it was really cool. They even brought the sun, some form of a sun down there. And I think that's really powerful, right? And everything they have, right? Anything they want, they got it. They even got the sun, or their version of the sun. So they're forced to be reckoned with. Now, I wanted to ask you, through this whole thing, there's a lot of back and forth with Shuri. Because again, I had my theories about who was going to be the next Black Panther. I think we should probably get to brass tacks that she became the next Black Panther. But she was, again, I love that the MCU is constantly doing this like type of reluctant hero kind of play. And she was really reluctant at first, but she has no choice. And this girl suffered a lot. But before that, there's a big ass battle because Shuri and Riri were captured, right? That cool highway scene. And what you were saying, she was being shown of this kingdom and stuff, and they escape because we get Nakia back also, which is awesome to see her. And she was in Nigeria, which was cool. I guess she felt really sad for what happened to T'Challa. But I want to get your thoughts on that whole battle. Like, so we're skipping kind of ahead, but that whole battle was detrimental, I think, to the rest of the story, because that really set everything into motion.
Well, before we get to the battle, I think it's worth mentioning the scene that happened before that, where she actually discovers the formula for the plant root, and then she actually like goes through the whole Black Panther ritual, and she actually like goes into the spirit realm.
Oh yeah,
and I guarantee everybody in the theater was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
because who do we see? We think it's gonna be. Is it gonna be the mother? Is it gonna be Chadwick Boseman? Of all people, it's fucking Killmonger that she sees in the spirit world. And I was like, oh shit. I could not believe that I heard that, Michael B. Jordan was coming back for this movie, and I just didn't know how they were going to go about it. Like, was he going to come back like as alive, as like an Atlantean or something?
Yeah.
I love how they did it in this movie, and it was so appropriate because this is her kind of like her Dagobah scene in a way, like her true, like look into the mirror, like what kind of king or what kind of Black Panther I'm going to be. And I think Killmonger was the perfect way to go about that, because Killmonger was the bad child, right? Yeah. He was a king that unfortunately went through the same kind of suffering that she did, but he took a darker path. And I think it was great that they showcased that. And because Shuri is very different from T'Challa. If anyone's been paying attention, she is not like T'Challa. Like T'Challa is he's very traditional. He's very humble and noble. But Shuri is a creature of logic. Like even the whole scene where she was talking with her mother about like how they grieve, and she's like, that's just like how the mother was saying like, oh, I feel your brother in the trees in the wind, and Shuri's like, that's just a construct in your mind, right? So she's very scientific and she's very secular from her tradition, but I think that whole scene was important to showcase what kind of Black Panther she was gonna be. So once we get to the battle,
I meant the first battle, by the way. No, I was talking about about the mom, and the mom, what happened to her. That's the battle that I meant.
Oh, well, even that, yeah, even that whole battle was crazy too. Yeah, because it threw me off guard, because like, you think Wakanda would be like so prepared, because they even fought Thanos, like, in Endgame or Infinity War, right? So you think like, oh, they can take anybody on, but they've never faced an enemy like this before because they come from the water, right? It's not like a traditional, like they're not like fighting like the Black Ops people that they fought, like from France or United States, right? Which, by the way, that whole scene with the Black Ops scene was incredible.
Right.
So yeah, so this battle takes place in Wakanda, and the Atlanteans, even though it's not their native home, they have the advantage, right? Because Wakanda's never like faced them in battle before, and their technology was wild too. Like the whole water bombs they were throwing and shit. That was fucking. I was like, damn. I was like, this is some fucking like nuclear weaponry or some shit. I feel like if these were in real life, like, holy fuck. I hope nobody gets a hold of these things.
Right.
But then Namor comes out, and he really is like a god. I felt like he was like Homelander at sometimes, like just the way, like you said, like they showcase like his powers. Like he has like advantage in the water and in air, so he had like superiority over like the Wakandans in certain aspects. So yeah, I feel like this really felt like it was like a big attack, and it was tragic to see like some of the Wakandans, and then we see like, of course, Namor attacks the mother, and I think this was a great send off, honestly, for Angela Bassett's character, because she actually tries to save Riri. So she was a hero in her own right. But unfortunately, only one of them made it out, and that was Riri. So yeah, what did you think of that whole scene with the mother?
Yeah, that was. I didn't expect that, for real. I really didn't expect that. I was like, damn, I don't know how this guy's gonna come back from that. The only way now he's gonna come back from that is like if you need him somehow. That was messed up. I was like, what? This girl lost everyone. She's like going down Thor's path, basically, right? Thor had a similar thing. It's like, damn, that was pretty dark. I was really hoping that like when they were trying to revive them, because they dug him up, or at least they picked him up from the water there, and I was really hoping that Angela Bassett's character would also survive, and it was really sad. I felt like they could have done something maybe, but like other than that, I was so sad for Shuri. I was like, oh my god.
Well, you know what? It also kind of like harkens back to when T'Challa lost his father in Civil War.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was like kind of like a parallel in a way. Because she even like held her in her arms too. So I think that was like a great parallel. Because there's so many parallels between T'Challa and Shuri in this movie. It feels like they went on like the exact same journey.
Right.
There's just certain moments like that where I was like, oh fuck, I see what you did there, Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else happened? So
she perfects the heart-shaped leaf, right? So that's in chronological order, and which is really cool, a testament to her character and how strong she is as well, because she has to now embark in this journey of being the Black Panther, but being a good Black Panther, a good moral, I guess, queen or something like that, or just a good moral Black Panther. But who's the ancestor she sees after losing everybody? She sees Killmonger. So that's like a little tease to her, like, this is who you have to be. You got to get your business done. And so I think now that's a huge test to see if she's going to go down the bad path, just like Killmonger did. And her suit too, they get a suit, and she meets the gorilla tribe. I'm not really sure the terminology for them, but
the Jabari.
Yeah, and she jumps down. I was really hoping that I was in a crowded theater. I wasn't, but I bet a lot of people clapped for that. Like, that was so epic, and I loved her. What do you think about her redesigned suit? Like, that's so awesome. I loved it.
Oh, I loved it. I love how it felt so much like her, not even just like the pearls, right?
Yeah.
That's her, like, her trademark. I also love that she incorporated like her sonic blasters into the suit. It just felt like so much like her, right? Yeah, I love the design, and she feels like so emotionally torn. Like, this is definitely not like T'Challa's Black Panther. You can see like she harbors so much. It's weird because like she's like a mix of T'Challa and Killmonger in a way. Like, she has like a dark side of her that she uses, which is like really effective in battle sometimes, but then she has like the humbleness of T'Challa, right, where she needs to be like a leader and she needs to step up. And also, I just want to say, Winston Duke's character, I loved him in every scene. He felt like such like a big bro, like the big bro that she needed, because like he was such a hothead in the last movie, but here he's like the moral compass of Shuri, right? He's like I don't want to go to war, right? Like, this is not what your mother would have wanted. So, shout out to his character. Like, I thought at moments he was gonna die too, because like when he got punched by Namor, I was like, oh fuck.
I know, I thought he's dead.
Like, I thought he was gonna be like a one and done, right? But I actually like that he made it out, and he was kind of like the moral center for sure in this movie.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And then after that, I guess she gives the speech, and I think that was really powerful. And then they get prepared for war, right? And they try to lure. I think so, right? No. They actually get like some ship that's like the weirdest design ship I've ever seen in my life. It's kind of like a nacho, and they have it like, and they have it like going down the ocean, and basically it's like just to lure in these Aztec-y Atlanteans. Yeah. They're not Atlanteans, are they? Though they changed the name. I forgot what it was called.
Talocan. I don't even know what they're called.
Yeah, it's like it's not even like yeah. But that was a cool battle though. Like, and Riri's involved as well. Ironheart's there, right? Now we get to see this advanced armor. I kind of liked it. I'm not gonna lie. For the first iteration of the armor, I liked it. And again, I love her portrayal of Riri. So she was so fun. She seems so energetic, and she's young. Like the MCU now, it's just all these young characters. But give me your thoughts on that fight, because a lot happened, and then we could talk a little bit about the later half of the fight.
So much happened. Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I wasn't crazy about the the Dora Milaje suits. I'll be honest. I wasn't like a huge fan on the look of them, but I did think they were.
But
cool,
they said they were ugly too. It was they were pretty
they
ugly.
Even said that, which is funny. But it was cool that they got like an upgrade, right? And for that whole fight with in the highway fight with Okoye and Atuma, that was some Star Wars level like combat, yo. Like holy fuck. And then they got a rematch in this fight too, which I thought was so cool. And even Riri, like you said, like she had like her own fight. I think she's fighting Namora, which was the other lieutenant. And just seeing like the Wakandans and the Atlanteans or whatever they're called, I thought was like it was awesome to see on screen. I think the fighting and the action in this movie was done a lot better than the first one, because I know Chris Zuckman said like there were certain moments like where it kind of felt like Spider-Man 3, like when Killmonger was fighting Black Panther. So I think it was a lot less CGI, but yeah, they were CGI, but it felt more natural, like the way they were fighting and stuff. And even the way they incorporated, like, you know, the technology and everything, like their weapons, I thought was really cool on screen. Although I was kind of annoyed sometimes because, like, she trapped Namor in her ship, and she was just like standing there, just watching him like cook. I'm like, bitch, why don't you just like punch him?
He's not a chicken breast. Yeah, you better go.
I was like, he's literally like stabbing the floor, like killing the ship. I'm like, just punch the motherfucker.
Right.
But then we get to the beach scene.
Oh my gosh.
And that was like the most brutal shit. That was like some like Butcher versus like Homelander level like fighting right there,
bro.
It was so brutal on screen. What'd you think of that whole fight?
Literally everybody, if you made it to the end of The Last of Us Part 2, that beach scene is exactly like that one. It's so like intimate and like so graphic, and like so much hate between those two. It's like I was just like stunned just seeing that. I was like, oh, I legitimately feel like somebody's about to die here. Like it could even be Shuri. Like usually you take yourself out of that mindset when you encounter something like this, and it was pretty shocking and traumatizing. And I think they did it so well, and Shuri was so capable of fighting, man. And I just love how that suit, like the helmet, how it fit her, like everything. It looked beautiful. And him too, he was just so ferocious. She ripped out his disgusting like little wing feet thingy.
Wings, yeah.
that was cringe. So yeah, and what did you think about it though?
It was an emotional conflict because they got to know each other so well in the first half of the movie, so it was really hard watching them like kill the shit out of each other, because they both have a respect and they both have a love of their people, and they both understand that, and watching them go through that on screen, it was like watching like Obi-Wan and Anakin like fight, because it was so personal but it was so political at the same time, like you mentioned earlier. And this was really Shuri's like true test, right? What kind of Black Panther she was gonna be. And I thought it was so symbolic because well, first of all, how did she survive that spear to the gut? I was like, damn, that's some Grand Inquisitor level survival right there. She got like stabbed to the gut. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And you actually like saw her like she had to like she snapped the spear in half, and then she like actually like pulled herself out. I was like, I felt like every fiber of her body like go through that pain. And then you know, like even like Namor, like as much of an asshole as he was, like this whole movie, just seeing him so broken and so vulnerable, kind of made me sad for him. And then she has the chance to kill him finally, and that's really where like her her character diverged from Killmonger and went back to T'Challa, because she even said the same thing that T'Challa said to Zemo, which was vengeance has consumed us, right? But I'm not gonna let it consume my people. And I thought that was so beautifully done.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that, like you said, and I was saying, that's the test, right? And I think she succeeded. And I think it was so powerful too when they were just standing there on that ship, or like that hovercraft thing, and they were like together, embracing like a peace. And I think it was very symbolic too. I think that just made history for their people, and it was really beautiful. And again, that's like a crowd cheering like thing, right? I bet in the theaters everyone was like going crazy. And I felt really sad for her. And I think it's kind of like this like epilogue. It was a pretty lengthy one where we get to see like these loose ends being tied up, and we get more like what happened with Namor. He has like a bandage over his disgusting feet, and he's down there, and a lady who, like his close confidant, I don't know, probably a general or something like that, was saying, why did you do this or whatever? Why did you side peace? But he has now the scheme that he's saying like eventually they're going to need us. And so it's like, again, he's still this villain, but it's all of it's for his people. And I wonder if he'll make it into the sequel. I hope he isn't like a type of Palpatine too. I hope he like remains kind of like this good character, like somewhat, right? And also Ross was in prison because we didn't even talk about Val, because Val was there too in the movie. I was shocked to see her.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Val was like very emo this time with that little streak.
She was apparently like his ex-wife or something.
Yeah, I was like, what? It's like, okay, I see you. Yeah, so he was going to prison, and I thought they were going to give like a tease of Thunderbolts, but they didn't give any tease of Thunder. That's fine, but Okoye broke him out. I thought it was going to be Shuri, and then we also, I think the most significant one, the most saddest one, and I love the way how they ended it too, like that little end card animation thingy was beautifully. It was so like. So simple but so intimate and so beautiful, the way how it tied in, and it tied into the fire, the campfire that was there. So Shuri visits Nakia, right, in like this house or something, and
they were in Haiti, I think,
or Haiti, right? And she we were wondering like, why is she there by herself? But I guess she's gonna burn like some garb or something from I believe her brother. And it was just that scene. That's how it ended. Literally ended by her by herself, and she was just tearing up. And everybody's like, oh, like when it ends, because it's like so sad. But that's not the most significant part. I had a theory about this, but I think the first end credit, right? Tell us what happened, because that freaked me out. And I think everybody, like the real G's, they left. They were like crying when they saw that, because I was. So tell us your thoughts.
Well, there's only really one end credit in this movie, but it's the mid-credit scene. And yeah, so after the whole, Rihanna song and the whole burning of the cloth, which I thought was beautiful also, we go back to Shuri, and she's still on the beach. And then Nakia comes out, and she has a child with her, and I'm like, oh shit, I see where this is going. And then she's like, oh, who's this? And apparently, because the whole time of the movie, we're asking ourselves like why Nakia stayed in Haiti and why she didn't go back to Wakanda for the funeral. So apparently this was some like Anakin shit right here. Like T'Challa told Nakia because they had a child in secret, and he didn't want his son to be burdened with the same, with the political strife of being like an heir to the throne, right? And he didn't want him to be like another like Killmonger too. So we see the child. And I think his name was Toussaint. Like his Haitian name was Toussaint. But his real name was actually T'Challa. Oh, and I thought that was so beautifully done, and it was so funny. Like the interaction between him and Shuri, it just felt like we were looking at like young Chadwick in a way.
Yeah, I felt like that Pedro Pascal meme when he's like crying, like, right. And like that was beautiful, and the kid acted so good too. I think that's what made it more sad. It's like I wish he was a bad actor. So I was like, so natural. Yeah, I was like, he's so happy and stuff, and he knows that his father died. I think he kind of reminds me of like an intelligent T'Chaka for some reason. Like there's like a something about like the little cadence that he has in his face. It's like there's somehow like he's so tiny, but he's like really wise. So I think he has both the grandfather and the father in him, at least for me. And that's when I was watching that, that's when I felt teary eyed. I was like, he's the embodiment, I think, of the whole family. And I think that's really beautiful. And
well, not only that, he's the last really like blood relative that Shuri has, right?
Yeah.
Because she lost everybody. She lost her father, her mother, and now T'Challa too.
Yeah.
So just seeing her have like one last, family member, that part, like I fucking bawled, like, and everybody clapped in the theater. It was just so beautifully done.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, man, this movie, it was so phenomenal, and I loved everything about it. Do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up our rating?
Yeah, I think they did it wonderfully. I kept on wondering. I think this is the one movie where people were wondering about it constantly. Like, how are they going to approach the death of Chadwick Boseman? Are they going to do it tastefully? Is it going to be like this sort of cop out? Are they going to do like Fast and Furious? And I think they've done it masterfully. I think that all the characters were really genuine, and they had genuine. They had. I just can't even speak because I'm like, I feel so fucking sad. Because to be honest with you, I think this movie was done with a lot of love, and I think you could see that in the characters. I think the way how they acted also, they seemed like real people, and the stakes felt very high, and there's a lot of pressure on Letitia, I must say, and she did a wonderful job. So again, I would rate this an 11 out of 10. I know this review is really long too, but I think it warrants it. So give us your final thoughts.
Man, I wish I could cover everything, but yeah, overall, I agree with all your points. I think the whole cast is great. I think Angela Bassett as Ramonda, I hope she gets an Oscar next year, honestly, because her character, I feel like, stood out the most to me. And even that whole scene where like she was talking to the United Nations, like she felt so powerful. She felt so natural as this character. I kind of wish the Avengers had kind of made an appearance like at the funeral. I know most of them are dead, but it would have been cool to at least see like some of them, because they all went through Endgame together. So they could have did like a cool like homage. I was wondering too, like since Namor had lived so long, I wondered too, like if he ever met like Captain America like on his journey, because they do like team up in the comics. So they could have had like a cool like throwback scene or something. But overall, amazing film. I think this is one of the best Marvel Cinematic films in the whole franchise now, and it was one of the best sequels, honestly. Like top 5 or top 3 for me, and that's hard because I love like certain movies like Infinity War and Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, but this movie has the most heart out of any Marvel movie that I've seen. But yeah, I've already said my rating. If I could give it 20 out of 10, I will. Like Ryan Coogler, you did an awesome job. Letitia, Wright, everybody in this movie, I think everybody did an amazing job. Wakanda Forever, man. That's all I can say.
For sure. Yeah. Well,
but thank you guys for tuning into this review. Akram, you want to take us away?
Yeah, if you guys made it to the end, I'm sorry it's a long video. Again, it warrants it though, and I hope you guys enjoyed our spoiler review for Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Now, if you guys are new to this channel, please remember to check out our other reviews and reactions. We do them week by week. We're going to finish up Andor pretty soon as well. We just finished up The Handmaid's Tale, and we have a lot of content coming out in November and December. So just stick with us, please, and also subscribe and check out our social channels. Well, without further ado, Dylan.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into this review. We appreciate every one of you. We're almost to 100 subs, so please like, share. Anything helps this channel so much. You can watch clips of our episodes also on Instagram and TikTok as well. And you can also listen to us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. We do so much on this channel. We just did a few Let's Talk About episodes. We just finished Handmaid's Tale, and we have a few episodes of Andor left. But yeah, we have so much content left for the rest of the year, so I can't wait for you guys to share all our reviews and all our discussions. So thank you so much, and until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
Wakanda Forever, guys.
that we lost him, but God knows best.
And so it put me back in the mind of being a kid, just to experience those two little boys, anticipation of this movie. And when I found out that they, it means a lot.